welcome back to the Friday Q&A. I'm just putting a little of my CeraVe Healing Ointment here on my lips. I've been inside working and the air conditioning has been kicking off and on around me, and it's kind of dried out my lips a little bit. But for today's Q&A, I wanted to do I've been getting many questions about Retin-A, retinols, tretinoin, Tazorac, Differin. I always get a lot of questions on these, and I get a ton of questions about them with regards to anti-aging. And so I kind of wanted to do like a follow-up Q&A to my previous Differin and Retin-A Q&As. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Andrea. I am a dermatologist. My YouTube channel is a mix of both fun vlogs of my life, a lot of plant-based recipes, and skincare-focused Q&As related to topics in dermatology. And if you're curious, I have a whole playlist of skincare Q&As. I have a whole playlist of Q&As that are specifically about tretinoin and or Retin-A. And so, you know, this one will be filed into that playlist if you want to find it, and those that preceded it. And I also have many Q&As on Differin or adapalene. So check those out. But today I'm going to talk just address many of the questions that I get with retinoids, retinoic acid derivatives, all of those things. All right, so retinoic acid is probably the ingredient that is most substantiated as far as any anti-aging benefit, okay? Retinoic acid. Retinoic acid derivatives include tretinoin, brand name Retin-A. It also has many other brand names. If you're ever curious, just look at the active drug name in parentheses underneath the flashy brand name in big letters. That's what you want to know, okay? That's what you want to be informed about, all right? It could be either tretinoin is one derivative, tazarotene, brand name Tazorac, is another derivative, and adapalene, brand name Differin, is a third version. And they have the most evidence for removing sun-damaged skin cells, as well as a lot of evidence for boosting collagen production in the deeper layers of the skin. I mean, really, really good evidence, not just bogus, hand-waving, cosmetic company marketing claims. I'm talking blinded, reviewed trials with biopsies to confirm increased thickness of the dermis, repair of collagen. Okay, there is actual good data that not only is tretinoin and not only are these retinoic acid derivatives helpful for many conditions of the skin, but they also actually can help to restore the deeper layers of the skin and make the skin more supple and impart a more youthful appearance and essentially act as anti-aging ingredients. Although if you've been watching my videos for any number of episodes, you know at this point that anti-aging is a lie. You can't anti-age, okay? But this can actually repair some of the deeper layers of the skin quite effectively. So those are retinoic acid derivatives, all right? They're frequently in prescription-only creams with a few exceptions. Here in the US now, Differin, a retinoic acid derivative, is now fortunately available over the counter. And for many of you in other countries, these guys are available over the counter as well. Just look for the actual drug name in parentheses to know what you're dealing with, okay? And then we have another category of kind of the underlings, as I call them, the retinols, R-E-T-I-N-O-L-S. The retinols are non-prescription synthetic analogs of retinoic acid, and they're kind of the weaker underlying, okay? They require the skin to take the synthetic analog and perform an additional step on it in order to get it to retinoic acid, the active form, okay? And you know, it's a difficult feat to accomplish, so they are less reliable. They're over the counter in things like The Rock, Yeah, sorry, I just got cut off by a little page there. They're over the counter in things like the Rock, Paula's Choice, the Ordinary. A lot of the Obagi serums have retinols in them. Okay, so I've discussed all of this before. I want you to go back and check my prior Q&As if you're unclear about this, because I talk about it in those as well. But some questions that I have been getting ever since making those videos. The first question is, in terms of the peeling and irritation that is to be expected when you're starting one of these creams. I get many questions, hey, I understand I'm supposed to have peeling, but I'm getting no peeling. Does that mean that the retinoic acid derivative is not working? The answer is no, okay? The degree of irritation and peeling that any individual experiences with a retinoic acid, whether it be tretinoin, tazarotene, or different, varies tremendously from individual to individual. And it's also going to be influenced by how kind of conditioned your skin was to begin with. If you're someone who has been using things like salicylic acid, maybe you go for peels more frequently, maybe you use a glycolic acid face wash, your top layer of your skin is already at baseline on an ongoing basis being thinned a little bit more consistently, and so there's just less for you to have to experience peeling from. So no, the lack of peeling and irritation does not signify that it is not efficacious, okay? So that is the first question that I get a fair amount about. The second question that I get is, well, I'm peeling like none other. What can you recommend or advise me to do to pick off the flakes or to get rid of the peeling? Is there a wash? Is there a scrub? What should I be doing? And the answer is no peeling, no scrubbing, no exfoliating, because guess what? That peeling and irritation is your skin exfoliating. And if you just rub and irritate and put acids and things to try and keep peeling more, you're just going to create more and more peeling, okay? You're peeling at that point, and it's futile. The better approach at that point, although it can be hard, and you kind of have to almost suck it up, I hate to be frank, but that's the truth, is to just put moisturizers on religiously and consistently. You know, in my different tips videos and my different routines, I show you guys that I first moisturize my face and let the moisturizer dry, so my skin is really well hydrated before I put retinoic acid derivatives on my face, and I find that that decreases the irritation quite a bit. It's the converse, it's the opposite of what you're told to do in the package insert, but I find that at least in the beginning, doing it in that manner really cuts down on the extent of peeling and irritation, okay? The other tip is to make sure that you're never applying a retinoic acid derivative or even your cosmeceutical retinols, which can cause peeling and irritation. You never apply them to wet skin. That's going to increase the likelihood of irritation and peeling. I mean wet, damp skin that feels wet. You want the skin to be completely dry, okay? And if you've just put a moisturizer on, make sure the moisturizer dries on there, you know, and let it dry, you know, pretty evenly before you go putting the retinoic acid derivative on. That will decrease the peeling a lot. Have you read the study about tretinoin increasing death in study subjects? What is up with that? I thought Retin-A, you said in your videos that Retin-A or tretinoin actually was chemopreventative and prevented people from getting skin cancers. Why is there this study that shows increased death? Here's the thing, you're absolutely right. There is a study in U.S. veterans, elderly Caucasian males, looking at tretinoin, and in that study, what they observed is that the subjects receiving tretinoin did, for whatever reason, have an increased rate of death. Okay, so that alarms many people and calls into question that finding. It has not since been repeated, and there is no explanation that anyone can really come up with for that. Some potential things, though, however, that influence that is they were starting out with a population of older males to begin with, and a population of older males with multiple comorbid diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and so they were starting out with a group that is already at risk, at a greater risk of death, just by virtue of those things than, you know, say a young healthy person or, you know, anyone else. So it's thought to actually just be a complete fluke. And all of our other tretinoin and our Retin-A data that we have for other things, big studies, has never, ever, ever repeated that, that observation. So it really is thought to just merely be a fluke, and not a true, you know, it's guilty by association for whatever reason in that study, and is thought to not actually be true, you know, a true risk. So no, tretinoin, Retin-A does not increase your risk for death or disease. I hear a lot of things scare on the internet, and it's actually chemopreventative. And what I mean by that is that people who use tretinoin can form fewer pre-skin cancers. People who have a high risk of making skin cancers, when they use tretinoin, their risk seems to be decreased a little bit. So it's chemopreventative. It prevents cancers of the skin, namely. So it is safe in that regard. All right, and then, you know, I mentioned already that retinoic acid derivatives include things like tretinoin, adapalene, and tazarotene. And I haven't really ever talked too much about tazarotene. It's sold here in the US. Its brand name is Tazorac. A lot of you in Europe are using Tazorac, and you've asked me to address it. Tazorac or tazarotene and Retin-A, tretinoin, think of them as cousins, as buddies. They're very, very similar. We have quite a bit of data from both that they restore collagen production, they can reverse some of the visible signs of aging, and be helpful for fine wrinkles. Tretinoin is FDA approved for fine wrinkles, but we have data for both of them that they both can be helpful that way. They both work on similar receptors in the skin. They can work in the deeper layers of the skin, so either one can be helpful for anti-aging purposes, okay? Tazarotene, Tazorac, for whatever reason, is more irritating than tretinoin. In other words, people have a lot more redness and peeling and discomfort with tazarotene for, you know, whatever reason. But both can be helpful, okay? Both, you know, should not be applied at the same time as any other kind of acids like alpha hydroxy acid, lactic acid, salicylic acid. It shouldn't be applied at the same time as benzoyl peroxide, okay? Because A, these things can increase the irritation that you will experience, and B, theoretically, they could potentially inactivate the retinoid, okay? So tazarotene and adapalene, when you're trying to, tazarotene and tretinoin, when you're thinking about things that you can apply with it, know that they're kind of similar, okay? But for whatever reason, tazarotene is a lot more irritating. Then the third retinoic acid derivative, adapalene, is the one that we can now purchase over the counter here in the United States. It is the one that is the least irritating of all three of them, okay? It is the one with the least amount of evidence for an anti-aging benefit. However, it is, you know, a retinoic acid derivative in its active state, okay? It is very effective. It is effective for acne. It concentrates in the oily surfaces of the skin. And so it's most efficacious for acne. We just don't have the data for it as far as anti-aging, okay? But for my US viewers in particular, as far as which one may be more available to you, well, you know, tretinoin can be hard. It can be hard to afford a prescription for prescription tretinoin here in the US. And so adapalene over the counter is like 14 bucks now. And so I would say of those three, here in the US specifically, adapalene's probably the more accessible one to you. But always, I would say tretinoin has the most evidence for anti-aging. Tazarotene has pretty good evidence, and adapalene simply doesn't have that evidence. But all three of them, you know, are active retinoic acid derivatives, okay? They're all active. Whereas your retinols, like things that are in the Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair, Polish Choice, some of the Obagi products, those are retinols. They require your skin to perform this additional feat of getting them to retinoic acid, and there's a little bit of evidence that they can be helpful for an anti-aging effect, but it's less impressive and less encouraging. They're not regulated in the same way, and so it's always hard for me to recommend one. So do know that. Other things here in the U.S. that are accessible to my U.S. viewers, I would say adapalene is probably your most accessible, affordable retinoic acid derivative, most efficacious. But if you can get tretinoin, that's really the gold standard, golden child. And then, you know, the other question that I get a fair amount about, I mentioned Obagi, okay? Obagi has a lot, you know, tons of like retinol serums and hydroquinone type things and lots of different cosmeceuticals, okay? But they also have tretinoin, actual tretinoin, okay, that physicians can dispense in their office, okay? And so people ask me, I got Obagi tretinoin from my doctor. Is that the same thing as Retin-A? It is, you know, it's tretinoin, and the same holds true for that. And the only difference there is that the physician is able to dispense it directly to you, and so, you know, depending on the physician, that actually has some potential benefits. You know, for example, people are more likely to use a cream that they walk out of the doctor's office with than one they have to go to the pharmacy and pick up. You know, it just is more convenient. B, there are less obstacles that can occur. You know, if you think about it, you leave your doctor's office with the intention of going to the pharmacy, but, you know, all of a sudden there could be a flash flood, or who knows. I mean, things happen that can get in the way. For whatever reason, sometimes prescriptions are not always called to the pharmacy. By the time you get there, you have to wait. You know, your life goes on, and so there can be, you know, sometimes it's just a matter of convenience, and therefore your compliance with it would be increased by just being able to get it before you walk out the door. So yes, that is fine. It is not something that is allowed in all states here in the United States. But as far as the cosmeceutical retinols, you know, things that are in like your serums and stuff like that, retinol, R-E-T-I-N-O-L, is probably the more likely of those vitamin, you know, they'll say a vitamin A cream or something. Retinol, like what is in the Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair, that is probably the most likely. Following retinol, there's retinaldehyde, very, very bottom feeder. And then there's retinol palmitate, okay? Retinol palmitate is a vitamin A derivative. Similarly, it's added to things more so as a, kind of as a stabilizer. But yeah, I wanted to do just kind of like a frequently asked questions that I get on my channel about the retinoids and retinoic acid derivatives, because I continue to get a lot of them. And you know, I know there was a gap here for a while where I was doing the pregnancy skincare videos, and so I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave you guys hanging out there. If I wasn't able to respond to your comment, hopefully this video was helpful in addressing that question. You know, if you have friends with similar questions, be sure you share this video with them. I think I would appreciate it. Let me know what you think down below, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.